Hello again there, lads. So I just want to do a sort of short monologue on this picture that caught my eye here yesterday. There was a bit of a ruckus in Oldham. The Tommy Robinson went there, from what I can gather, and a group calling themselves. There's a lot of Muslims there. The Muslim Defence League, they were calling themselves. And I got in last night and I sort of browsed social media and I saw this picture. So there's this white lad, and he's been like completely swarmed by these Muslims. And when I was looking at the picture, of course, you get pissed off straight away. But then I was reminded again that there's prominent people in the culture and in on the internet, and in this sort of dark web, and there's a whole host of people who are there to sort of counter signal the kind of things that I would have to say, or what white nationalists have to say, or the alt right, the dissident right, whatever you want to call it. The Jordan Peterson types are there specifically to target lads like that white lad in that picture, to tell him not to think of himself in a racial context, not to see himself as being part of a wider group, but instead to see himself as being just an individual. And this is the reality of it, what you see in this picture. This is how bankrupt their garbage is. And it's hard to imagine where we are at the minute. It's hard to imagine something more destructive being pumped into the head of a young white lad than to tell him that just think of yourself as an individual, just pull yourself up by the bootstraps, bucko. It's absolute shit, and they even use collectivist as a kind of slur, as a pejorative term, because they know it conjures up images of like gulags and concentration camps, or a sort of soulless drone army. That's what they're trying to do there. But this is the problem. This is the result of their thinking. Now, of course, in this individual case, maybe he got sort of cut off from the main group or whatever. But the idea that they're flooding the culture and white lads in particular are targeted for their crap, which only makes them weak and vulnerable. Because what they're saying is, this is the sort of morally righteous way to be, is to sort of cower there and hope that the pack doesn't tear you to shreds. In what fucking universe is that an admirable way to look at the world? Honest to Christ. And I sort of made this sort of meme about it. At least I didn't give in to identity politics, because at the end of the day, this is what they're saying all of the time. Oh, it's identity politics, right-wing identity politics. And they don't care about that lad in the picture. They don't care at all. What they're holding dear is an abstract value which is falling apart, which is collapsing around them. If you think of it like this gigantic sort of the edifice of liberalism, which holds it all together, the glue has been dissolved, and they dissolved it as well. And I don't say this lightly, because it is a huge seismic event, but their liberalism is collapsing. It can't handle the strain being placed upon it. There's no glue binding it all together anymore, and this is why they're so desperate. But what the message they're giving white lads is to say, don't, because of course, if you start and racialise yourself and you see yourself as a group, then it's finished. It's all over. And what they're saying to white lads is, don't leave this crumbling edifice of liberalism. Just stay inside and die. And they're going to try and shame you. They're going to try and shame you for thinking in those terms. And they're going to call you weak. But does that lad in the picture look strong? This is childish nonsense. And they don't care about, this is the irony as well, they don't actually care about the individual who's being swarmed. They don't actually care about what happens to the individual, the young girl walking down the street who's being pestered by these people. Because the only response they can have to that is to demand on people who think of themselves as groups that they stop doing that. And they've got no way of making that happen. They're fighting against gravity here. It's absolutely insane, and it's the most destructive shit you can possibly pump into the minds of young white lads. For Christ's sake, ignore these people. These people are utter wankers, and they don't care about the individual. They care about their abstract philosophy because they know it's falling apart. They know it's collapsing in on itself because of its own contradictions. But what they're saying to white men is, you stay inside. You stay inside and go down with the ship. You go down, you just die. Because if white men racialise and collectivise themselves and start to work towards securing a future in their own interest, then it'll just die quicker. And they know that. They know it'll die permanently. And I want it to. I don't give a fuck about it. It's dead. It's decaying. But all of the glue that held it together is falling apart. You can't do it anymore like this in this society. It was liberalism that wrecked it completely, and it was their liberalism which ushered in an individualism which meant you could just swamp the place, and it's just purely materialistic way of looking at the world, which meant you could just swamp the place with immigrants because it's like an economic theory. That's where this comes from. It's actually not even a healthy way to look at the world in a social way, in a human way. It's a fucking economic theory, for Christ's sake. Ignore them. Ignore these charlatans, these liars, these frauds. It's their philosophy that's dying on its arse. We're going to make something new, but we're going to do it together. Bastards that they are. Okay, folks, I'll see you later.